Hi there, this is Clovis from Kinematic Lab. In this video you will learn how to create and manage your own assets library in Mesh Insert. So first of all, when you start the tool it looks like that, so there is no library loaded, okay, no assets, nothing, so you have to create one or load an existing one. So I will create a new folder here, okay, and I will call it whatever I want, so it's gonna be my assets for the moment. Okay, and then I go back in Max, and in Mesh Insert you have a button here to browse, so you left click on this button and find your folder. So this is my assets, press OK, and you see that now it's sort of loaded the assets library, but there is nothing in it. So the second thing you should do is create some subfolders to make some categories, so it's going to be easier to classify your assets and keep organized. So I will just create some subfolders in my assets folder. So I'm going to create some folders like whatever, architectural, bolts, etc. And then if you go back in Max and you press the refresh folder list button here, okay, it refreshes the list and you can see now all these subfolders. So each time you want to add a new folder, okay, you just go in your category in your library here and add a new folder, okay, and if you go back in Max and refresh, it appears. You can also delete folder, etc. So you have your folder list here, okay, and now the thing is to create some assets to populate them. So let's create some assets. So first of all, you should use the create tools here. So if you press the create button, you see that it creates a plane, okay, with the subdivisions you choose here. So if you choose 4x4, it's going to create a 4x4 plane. And then you can model your assets from this new plane. So I'm going to create some really basic stuff to populate my assets library just to show you how it works. So I have one asset, so I'm gonna call this square extrude, for example. So this is very important to rename each asset. So give a name here and try to give a unique name, because it's gonna conflict with other assets if you have the same name in different folders when you search them. So you have your asset, and now to save it in the library you just select one folder, okay, it's gonna be the folder where your asset is gonna be saved on. So you select the folder and you press the save button here, and what it does is just it saves the max file, okay, of this asset, and it also make a snapshot, so you have an icon to refer on the library. And you can create more and more assets. So you can use the create tools like that, but you can of course use any modeling tools or any assets you have. So I'm just going to create a box like that, call it box, okay, save it, okay. I will create a more cylindric shape, and this time I want to create an opened asset like that, okay, call it cylinder and save it in the library. Okay, it says that you should select an object before you save, which is obviously what you should do. So you select the object and save it. Okay, and doing that you will populate your library, okay, and fill all these folders. So you should just right click on each folder here to open the browser. Okay, so you can browse your library and see the files. So you see that what it did is it saved the max file, okay, and it saved an image file to create these icons. So now that you have this library, you can import them in your scene. So if you right click on each asset, you have a menu opening, okay, so you can rename your asset. Okay, I'm going to call it box A, for example. Press OK, so it's box A now. You can import your asset, so it's going to merge the asset in the scene, which is useful because if you want to modify your asset, you can merge it, do some modifications like that, okay, and then resave it again, and it updates the asset. And you can delete the asset, which will delete the files. Okay, so that is your library. Now I will open a library I did myself, okay, that you can download with the files. And you see that I have a lot more assets in it, okay. So you can have all these assets for free, and I will add some more assets with the time, okay. So you can browse all these assets. And now how to find the specific assets. So there is a few things to know. The first one is that if you create an editable poly object, okay, and select some faces, you go in the filters here and check the per face selection. And you see that the selected information here just tells you what kind of selection you have. So this is a 3x2, okay. This is a 2x3. This is a 2x1. This is a 1x1, okay. This is a 3x3. And this is good to know this because with this filter, okay, per face selection, it will show you only the assets saved with the created tools, okay? Only these assets corresponding to this type of face selection. So if you go in each subfolder, for example here in bolts, you see that I have one asset, okay, corresponding to a 3x3 selection, which is called flat bolt 3x3. But if I change my selection, you see that it updates automatically the library to show you only the assets that you can insert in this type of selection. And if you change, okay, select a different folder, you see the other assets. So now if you uncheck the per folder filter, it's going to show you all the assets available in the library with the corresponding face selection. So a 1x1 selection, you have all these assets, 1x2, 1x3, 2x3, etc. 2x2, etc. So these are good filters to find your assets. And on top of that, you can filter, okay, per name. Okay, so you have a search box here. And if you search the bolts, okay, just tip the name, and when you tip it, it updates the library automatically. So you can have this window, you can search for the buttons, for the branches, etc. And of course, all these filters are working together. So if you just select the per face selection and have this 2x2 selection, it shows you all the 2x2. But if in this filter you want to find only the holes, for example, okay, just start to tip the name you are looking for, and it will filter, if you see what I mean. Okay, I think that's it for the library. Oh, and you can of course resize these icons, okay, with this size parameter, and resize the UI, okay, depending on the number of assets you have. It's good to be able to resize it. And you have another option in the option menu, which is called the library converter. So it opens a floating tool here, which is very important because when you create your assets in your own version of 3ds Max, and your friends or coworkers or clients are using a previous version, okay, an earlier version, they can't open your assets because they are in 3ds Max 2016 version. Okay, so let's say they use 3ds Max 2015 or 14, they can open a 16 version. So you have to save your library in previous versions, which is going to be very tedious if you are doing that assets per asset, depending on the size of your library. So I made a little tool to batch save all these assets of your library in previous versions. So you can just select one of the available version to save to and press convert, and it's going to be replacing all your assets in this particular version. And that's it. See you in the next video.